Hey, I'm Jennifer Hurwitz, best-selling author of the books One Happy Divorce and Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda. I'm a relationship coach, a public speaker, and I'm the mom of two of the most kick-ass teenage boys around. Raw, authentic, and insightful, this podcast is a no-bullshit slice of reality for anyone curious about what it looks like to get divorced. On Doing Divorce Right, we'll give you the tools you'll need to navigate your relationships, whether you're contemplating divorce or have already signed the papers. We'll figure it out together without taking ourselves too seriously here on Doing Divorce Right podcast. Divorce is never easy. And when children are in the picture, it can be extra tricky, especially when communicating with your ex is a challenge. Now there's an app with you and your kids in mind. It's called FAIR, F-A-Y-R. FAIR is the easiest, most intuitive, and conflict-diffusing co-parenting app on the market. FAIR helps eliminate misunderstandings while also improving communication between co-parents. In the long run, creating a loving environment for your kids. Here's a couple things I love about the FAIR app: a documentable text messaging program, an expense tracker so both parents can add and monitor expenses, track receipts, and add notes, a GPS check-in that's court verifiable to document your presence at all GPS verified locations. And there's even a Spanish version of the app as well. FAIR allows you to experience co-parenting in a totally new way, simply, inexpensively, transparently, and fairly. Lose the he said, she said, and be the best parent you can be. Be FAIR. Go to fair.com for more details. Hey, good morning. Good morning. This is Doing Divorce Right. I'm Jennifer Hurwitz, and I'm your host every Tuesday, and I am so excited about this episode. And I know I say that about all my episodes, but this one I'm a little bit super excited about this one. So oftentimes we talk about, well, I know we don't talk about it here because actually in 2 years of podcasting, I've never had this topic or specialists or experts in the area of gray divorce. We've never talked about gray divorce on this show. I don't know if you know what a gray divorce is, but you're about to learn, everybody. So I have two guests today. Two guests. I usually have one. I'm so excited. This is exciting. I have two guests in the studio. I have Dr. Carol Hughes and Dr. Bruce, I'm going to say it right, Fredenberg. First, Dr. Carol Hughes is a California licensed marriage and family therapist, board-certified hypnotherapist, and family-focused divorce professional who works with children, adolescents, and adults in her private practice in Laguna Hills. Oh, I wish I was there. She is the co-author, because I have Dr. Bruce here too, the co-author of the just published book, Home Will Never Be the Same Again. I have the chills. A guide for adult children of gray divorce. And then Dr. Bruce Fredenberg is the author and California licensed marriage and family therapist, board certified in clinical hypnosis. Both of y'all are fabulous, who helps families solve painful problems that they are struggling with and have not been able to solve on their own. Hello, you guys.
Hello. So
Welcome.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having us.
I'm just so glad to have you both. And this is the topic that I find fascinating to me because, first of all, very few people even know what a gray divorce is. And then you guys wrote this fantastic book. I'm going to say the name of the book one more time because it gives me the chills. The name of the book, you guys have to go and get it, is Home Will Never Be the Same Again, a guide for adult children of gray divorce. Hello, you two. Tell us, what is a gray divorce?
In 2012, researchers at Bowling Green State University in the Health of Families Department, they were doing research about divorce using the U.S. Census, U.S. Census. And what they found was shocking to them. And they're the ones who coined the term gray divorce revolution. They found that between 1990 and 2010, the divorce rate in the 50-plus-year-old people had doubled. And then they kept studying it and researching. They've now gone up through the 2015 census. It's still doubling. And they're projecting with their analytics that it will triple by 2030.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's really a phenomenon, and that's why they called it a revolution. Also, from actually about the age 45 plus, it was close to doubling, but they cut it off at 50 plus. But we're seeing it in those age groups. So yeah, it's when the divorce rate is going down in the rest of the U.S. because not as many people are getting married. So you know how statistics work.
Yeah,
and this is a phenomenon that's happening in the industrialized countries throughout the world. It isn't unique to the U.S.
It's a much bigger problem than people would imagine numbers-wise. The people in Bowling Green found even a few years ago before, and it's bigger now, but about 300, or actually more than 300,000 families. So that's times two people, because there's two people in a marriage.
Sure.
So that's 600,000 people in that age category. Boomers and Generation Xers are divorcing every year, and that demographic has 1 to 2 kids on average. So anywhere from 900,000 to 1.2 million people enter this experience every year. And the people who were hurting last year are still hurting, and the people who are hurting the years before that are still hurting.
Right.
And it's increasing just in the US by more than 1 million people a year. In the UK, they call them silver splitters.
Silver splitters.
In Canada, it's diamond divorcees.
I cannot believe this. Okay.
And in Japan, I think they nailed it with retired husband syndrome.
Okay, this is fascinating to me. So you're saying that people over the age of, are you saying over 50 is a great divorce, or over 45?
They coined it, Bowling Green State University coined it over 50. But their research is showing that it's kind of 45 plus.
Okay. So let me ask you first before we go. Why? Why do you think that, I mean, I know, I can get in my, why do you think this is happening? What, do you have a why? I mean, do we know why this is, or, okay, let's hear it.
Well, we have some, and some of the research that's been done. Well, one, people are living longer than in previous generations. And when they become empty nesters, they start looking at each other. Yeah. Well, empty nest is when the kids go off to college or trade school or job or whatever. And they're looking at each other, and they're, maybe they married in their early 20s, even 30s. Some of these are not, they've been married 2 or 3 times. So the great divorce isn't just people that have been married 30 or 40 years. Okay. Anyway, they're looking at each other going, do I really still like you? Do I want to stay with you? They may have decades ahead of them of life, and they're thinking, I want to be happy whatever time I have left.
Sure.
Economics is another factor, because more than half of the mothers in the United States have jobs outside the home. And so they're not as dependent on their spouses as they used to be. So that gives them the freedom. And more divorces typically have been filed by women than men anyway. And then in this population, they've grown up in an age where ethically, morally, in many countries, including the U.S., divorce has become more acceptable. For example, a statistic is in 2014, 69% of the U.S. population thought that divorce was morally acceptable, whereas in 2001, 45%.
That's interesting. That's the year I got divorced, actually.
Oh, really? Wow. We're not promoting divorce, of course.
Right. Of course
That's
not.
not what we do. But
Sure.
We are helping people who have decided they're going to divorce to do it in a more peaceful, respectful, dignified way.
Like me. We're like the same. That's why I have you here. Fabulous.
That's great. Yes. Keeping the family focused, even if they're divorcing.
I agree. So, and the best thing about your book, which I think is what I'd like to talk about, if you don't mind, is that you really focus on the children.
Yes.
Right. Because really, like, these are kids that, if I'm correct, you correct me if I'm wrong, these are children that are going through the divorce as well, and they're older because their parents are older, and all of a sudden they look around and their parents are in their 50s or and they're older kids, and am I right? And
yes.
And they're like, what happened here? Was my life a lie? I mean, is that true? Is that what they're thinking?
That's very common.
Please tell us.
They think. Yeah. We spoke with an attorney a couple of weeks ago, a family law attorney in another state, who said he had just interviewed a 92-year-old man who was filing for divorce. So his children are much, much older, of course. And the belief in our culture and other cultures is that because they're adults, their life is going in one way or another, they shouldn't be affected by their parents' divorce. It's not their divorce after all. However, as Bruce is fond of saying, the parents are feeling some negative feelings. The one who wants out is usually a little bit happier, but than the one being left. Then why shouldn't the adult children be having negative feelings as well? And we'll talk about the research a little bit that there is with adult children in a little bit about what they're feeling.
Yeah, I would love to hear. I mean, I would love to. This is just fascinating to me, because I have friends and, their parents got divorced in college. Mm-hmm. And I remember them looking at me going, oh my gosh, like they had no clue because their parents kind of put on, they feel like their parents put on like a facade, or they kind of stayed together. A lot of people stay together for the kids, right?
Yep.
And then they get through college or high
exactly
school.
right. Yep.
And then they said to me, I just felt like they were lying the whole time.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Was our life all smoke and mirrors? Yeah.
Yeah, smoke and mirrors. Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So
They have
your
to
book delves into
reinterpret their
this.
whole history as they're looking back at family vacations or the celebrations, Thanksgiving, whatever. And all of a sudden they're reinterpreting everything different, you know?
Right. So in your book, you've delved into this. Do you actually, if you don't mind me asking, do you think that it's in your research, do you think it's better for the children and better? I don't think divorce is ever better. Is it healthier for their mind, for their mindset to actually go through a divorce sooner than, I don't know. I mean, I have my opinions, but.
Jennifer, the California Association of Marriage and Family Therapists a few years back did a survey of all the research, and they looked for some trends as to what do most people find, what do they agree on, and what they found was if the couple is unhappy, but there's not a lot of conflict in the family, the kids and then if the kids will probably do better if the family stays intact because they're going to have that continuity. Sure. But if the parents go from a low conflict marriage to a high conflict divorce, the kids are really going to suffer. It's the conflict in the divorce that seems to be the barometer for how they're going to do. Absolutely. And if there's a high conflict marriage where there's a lot of tension and arguing all the time, and the parents are modeling that that's a normal relationship, number one, the kids are going to absorb that. And two, if they move from a high conflict marriage to a high conflict divorce, that's the worst of both worlds. And so we encourage people, if they are considering divorce, to look at the non-adversarial options like mediation or cooperative or collaborative divorce, which are built on the idea of dampening down the fight and helping people resolve things by consensus. And so they'll own the agreements. So when they go forward, they're not going back to court all the time to fight for what they thought should have happened. And at the same time, it makes it better for couples. One of our attorneys likes to say, any attorney or any financial person can tell you the value of an annuity or a retirement plan or a house. But what's the value of being able to dance at your child's wedding or show up at the birthdays without everybody cringing? Right.
That's doing divorce right for you. That's why you're here. Right. That's how I feel too. Yes.
Yeah, that's a great title that you have. Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's my husband and I, my listeners know this, but we're best friends. So that's why I like to share. Yeah. Yeah. So talk more about your book for me. So how is your book set up? Is it more of a self-help? Is it more of a guide? It says a guide, so I'm wondering.
That's a good question. So the publisher, Rowland and Littlefield, publishes in the academic field as well as the self-help field.
Oh, fabulous.
And they have contracts with university and college libraries and public libraries. So they wanted something that was both, that was had some research in it and some academic information, and also self-help where it was stories about clients, names changed, of course, to protect their identity, and then hope and healing, solutions. So it's really all of the above. And we start out sharing some of the statistics that we were just telling you, and then educating the reader about attachment theory, why these bonds are so powerful and painful when they're broken. Divorce can break the bonds between parent and child, even adult children. And, we humans, our DNA is that we are bonded to our original caregivers, which is very often our parents or some other caregiver. And then about grieving, because adult children need to know that what they're feeling is real. They're suffering a lot of losses, a loss of their intact family, all their dreams of what it would be like when they're in college, after college, married, maybe with their own children, going back to the family home. All of those, are falling apart. And so we talk about grieving and how to heal from that, and boundary issues, a lot of other topics. And then if your parent starts dating.
Oh, I saw that on your Facebook page. You did an article about when your parents start dating. I had a friend who, her mom, she saw her mom on Match. and she was on Match, and she saw her mom on Match.
Oh,
they're
goodness.
both dating at the same time. I mean, these are things that you're going to come across, right? I mean,
Yes.
Oh
yes.
my gosh.
Yes. And then we also have a chapter for the parents.
Oh, great.
What can they do to help their adult children? And it's listening. And
do you mind
judging.
sharing a couple of those with us? Do you mind? Go ahead, please.
Would you like to go ahead, Bruce, on that one?
Well, first, the parents need to understand the problem even exists.
That's a good point.
In our culture, there's this idea that, well, you're an adult now, you're lucky it didn't happen when you were a kid, and, you'll just get over it and just bounce along.
I
never thought of that.
As if because they're an adult, they don't get hurt by all this.
Right,
and of course they do. So having the parents understand, and then as Carol was pointing out, just listening to someone and letting them know that you understand what's happening or you heard them actually starts the healing process and can be really helpful. And then we give them ideas like things to avoid. You started to touch on it a little bit when you talked about your friend or your client, finding her mom on Match.
Oh gosh!
Sometimes the parents are so hurt they start looking for allies, and they'll make one of their adult children their confidant, and most people don't really want to hear their mom or their dad talk about what a bad sex partner the other parent was, or how they were unfaithful, or any of their shortcomings, or all the economic trouble they caused by bad decisions, because it's still their other parent. And so, but you'll be amazed how many people do that when they're hurt and they're looking for allies, or some even want to go double dating with, or go out to the clubs together with their so we advise not to do that.
Good. Yeah.
And then one of the biggest mistakes is when people start choosing up sides. And so often, the siblings of the parent who's divorcing, all this, or even the parents-in-law, this person who's been a fixture and a welcome member of the family for 25 or 30 years is suddenly despised by all those people. And they invite the children into let's bash your other parent conversations.
Oh, no, right.
Or the parent is telling the child so much, looking for an ally, that to really denigrate the other parent. And that does so much damage for the later healing of the family. So we advise them to talk to their friends about that. Don't allow your family members to bash the other parent in front of your child. It's still their other parent. And if you really can't control it yourself, then go meet with clergy or an experienced family therapist who understands divorce, and make that your confidant. But don't do that to your kids.
I agree with all of that. That it's just, all of that is fantastic advice, and that's all in the book. Right. And I think it's important also, I don't know if this is true with your book, that is it for the kids, the children to read and the parents to read both?
Yes,
okay,
definitely.
Good. Yeah.
Yes. The parents will, if they read from the beginning, and we've had a lot of colleagues and some of our own clients who are the parents going through the great divorce, bought the book too. And they're saying, wow, I'm understanding my life better, not just the divorce process and what my adult children are going through, because everybody has attachment bonds to their parents, or don't have unhealthy attachment bonds. Exactly. And everybody's gone through some kind of losses. In fact, there's a drawing in the book that illustrates all the losses of divorce. And the parents typically are suffering most all of those losses, and the adult children are suffering some of them. And it really helps, that saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Mm-hmm. It really helps the parents and the adult children see all the losses they're dealing with, because, our culture doesn't deal very well with grieving either.
I agree. And I think that divorce is a lot like you go through the grieving process. Absolutely. It's like a death.
Mm-hmm. It
is a death. I tell my clients and all the time, it masks that of a death, only my husband is still here and I have to look at him.
Yes.
It's like, I'm joking, but it's hard. It really,
it's common.
It's very common.
Right.
It's just really the whole thing. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Well, I need to get your book. I'm sorry that I didn't read it before, you guys were here with me, because it sounds fantastic. And, it's just, I think actually that even if you don't have adult kids, adult children now, if you've gone through a divorce early, they're eventually going to be adult children. So I think it's important that you read it anyway.
Well, we agree.
Right.
I know you agree. So I think listeners, all my listeners, everybody, even if you don't have children that are adults right now and you're going through a divorce or you're contemplating a divorce, I think everybody should read this because eventually your children that are younger will be adult children. So, right? I mean, don't you think everyone should read it? I think everyone should read
it. Exactly.
The genesis of this book is really interesting. And I want to give a lot of credit to Carol. Carol was the first one that I'm aware of to really identify this problem with adult children and what they were going through. And looking back in my practice, I could see what she was talking about. And we've known each other for decades and we're friends. She wrote a blog article about it and for our little practice group. And someone in the New York Times found it online, I guess, doing research on the topic and called her up and interviewed her and published the interview in the New York Times. And the New York Times being what it is with millions of people, a literary agent from one of the most prestigious literary houses in New York read the article and it reminded her of things that had happened to her. And she was talking to other people in the field and they were really shocked to find out nobody had written about this.
I'm telling you.
And so she contacted Carol and asked Carol if she would write a book. And Carol always says yes to things like that. And she came to me. It's easy,
no problem.
Right.
She came to me and said, hey, Bruce, we've talked about writing a book for years. We have lots of partial books in our computers we haven't finished. Would you like to help me with this one? And I said, sure, not knowing I was taking on a 4-year task of researching and writing and rewriting, but now it finally came out. And again, I wanted to give Carol the credit for being the major pioneer that I'm aware of for bringing this to public attention.
Well, now I have another project for you too. Now it's time to do a TED Talk. Have you done a TED Talk yet?
We have not.
Okay, that's the next thing you need to do is a TED Talk on, I'm giving away your idea, but on a gray divorce that needs to be done.
We'll do. We'll start looking into it.
So the next time you come on my show, you're going to come in and you're going to promote your TED Talk.
Okay, cool. Maybe you could give us some guidance as to best into that.
Well, I was supposed to do my TED Talk in April and it was canceled because of COVID. And I know that your book release was
delayed.
It's just awful, this whole thing. So I think that big things are coming and this is fantastic. And I'm very excited for you. And I'm so glad you were here today with me. Do you mind if we do a little one question that I have for either of you can answer or both of you? Do you have a big piece of advice or a nugget that you'd like to leave my listeners with that you think is super important, a takeaway? What about is that put you on the spot?
No, not at all. That's fine. I'll start. I want the adult children and the parents to know that the little bit of research that there is on adult children of gray divorce has indicated that about half of the adult children have very strong negative, painful feelings about their parents' divorce. Some even withdraw from their parents and don't, have anything to do with them for a while. They're angry and hurt. But the majority of them do reconnect with their parents, and even the adult children are often the ones to invite the parents to go to counseling or therapy or a clergy person with them to heal the relationship. So we want them to know that there is hope, there is healing, but we need, as Bruce said earlier, we need to know what the problem is. And the problem is that these adult children are being ignored and they're not being listened to, and their pain is very real. So some of you have heard of The Great Santini, the book, and there was a movie written by Pat Conroy. I think he says it the best. He says, divorce has many witnesses, many victims. Each divorce is the death of a small civilization.
Oh, I have the chills.
So that's pretty real.
That is pretty real. That was a good nugget. Bruce, can you top that?
Well, I don't know if I can top it.
I don't know. Maybe.
Actually, I have two as well. And
good.
First I touched on before because it is so important to do everything they can in the family to avoid taking sides, because that's when a lot of hurts can happen that make it so hard to heal later on when they're wanting, the dust settles and they want to come back together. And then we've seeded this throughout the book, the idea that Henry Miller, the author, was quoted as having told his nephew one time that there are the three most important things in life and never forget them. The first is be kind. The second is be kind. The third is be kind.
I love that. I love that. I have the chills. You guys, this has been a great show. I have to tell you, this has been a fantastic. I love this episode. You guys are. Thank you for coming today. and joining me.
You're so welcome. And your listeners are so lucky to have such a highly acclaimed podcast host.
I like to think I love this. I love what I do, and I love to share information that's so important. And I think that this topic is just really, really important. So I am thrilled that you were here. Again, y'all, the name of the book, so that you go and get it today, please. Everyone hurry. Get a pen. It's called Home Will Never Be the Same Again, a guide for adult children of gray divorce. And this is Dr. Carol Hughes and Dr. Bruce Fredenberg. I said it right, I hope.
Yes.
Thank you. That was fabulous. Oh my gosh. Thank you for being here. Everything is going to be in the show notes if people are looking. Website. Do y'all have a website that people can find you if they have questions?
Yes.
I'll put those in the show notes as well. Go ahead, Carol. What was yours?
My website is divorcepeacemaking.com.
Okay. And Bruce?
OrangeCountyDivorceCoach.com. And the book has its own website because we have a gift that people can get.
Oh.
And that is a free report with a lot of the do's and don'ts so that people can maybe help themselves even, with the book and get started without it. And Carol, I'm having a mind block on the address where they can send to get the free report.
Okay. The address is a Gmail address, and it's the name of the book. Home Will Never Be the Same Again @gmail.com. And if they send an email there, we will send them a free report, and it has info for the children, the adult children, as well as the parents.
Oh my gosh, that is so great. Well, we're going to put all that in the show notes. So my Sienna, she's amazing. She'll take care of that for us. And again, thank you guys for being here. Listeners, get this information and do yourselves a favor. If you have young kids, if you have adult kids, if you're going through a divorce, this has been an episode worth grabbing that pen and jotting some stuff down. Everyone, do something fabulous for yourself today. Go outside for a walk. Do some yoga and just do something great. You know where to find me, www.jenniferhurwitz.com. On Instagram, I'm at Doing Divorce Right. On Facebook, it's Jennifer Hurwitz Biz. And you know my books, Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda, A Divorce Coach's Guide to Staying Married, or One Happy Divorce, Hold the BS. You know this. And that's it, you guys. Thanks so much for being here today. And once again, you know what to do. Peace, love, and as always, so much truth. Thanks. Hey, thanks for listening to Doing Divorce Right. Don't forget, if you love the show, subscribe, rate, and review anywhere you get your episodes. And grab my books, One Happy Divorce and Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda, on Amazon, Target.com, or my website, JenniferHurwitz.com. As usual, thanks for listening. And we'll see you next week. Peace, love, and truth.